Okay, good. We are now live. So this is the October 28, 2020 meeting of the Town of Groton Inland Wetland Agency. Members of the public, if they want to participate under public communications, there's a couple of ways to do that. If you're on an Apple device, if you hover at the top of your screen, you'll find the raise hand icon. If you're on a PC, hover at the bottom of the screen and you'll find the same thing. If you're on the telephone, it's *9. So under public communications, if you want to talk to the Wetland Agency, make sure you raise your hand and we will recognize you at that time. Okay, Dave, it's all you.
All right, yes, none. We have the minutes of October 14th. We have somebody want to
make a motion to approve?
Yes. You have a second?
I second it.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right.
Abstain.
Oh,
Okay.
one abstention. You couldn't get them.
Okay, for the next item, I need to promote a couple of people so they can talk to you and share their screen. So just give me a minute.
Triton Square.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have got a representative of Donmar, their attorney, their design professional. Is there anyone else that I need to promote on your team? Tom, is there anybody else?
Matt Sanford.
I can see him.
Matt,
Yep.
Matt's our wetland scientist,
Okay.
but that's the team.
Okay. Very good.
And Deb, just to give you the order of our presentation, Tim Herbst is the attorney. He'll start off.
Mhm.
He'll then pivot that to me. I'll go through the site plan. Matt Sanford then will present his findings on the wetlands, and then that will pivot back to Tim for final comments.
Good.
Thank you. So Tim, you're up.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Perfect.
Fantastic. Good evening to staff and members of the Inland Wetlands Agency for the Town of Groton. My name is Timothy Herbst. I'm a partner with the law firm of Marino, Zabel, and Schellenberg with offices in Orange, Connecticut, and I am honored tonight to be representing my clients, Donmar Residential LLC, in the first phase of what we are excited about to be doing in the Town of Groton and to be building and investing in your community and making it better. As you know, this has been a process where we have worked collaboratively with your staff at Town Hall, with legislative bodies of the town in exercising and drafting an option agreement that will facilitate the construction of a multi-unit development on the former Sealy School property. We've worked collaboratively with not only your staff and your legislative bodies, but also town council to not only shepherd that option agreement through the requisite approval process, but to begin the process of seeking land use approvals related to this development. And that is the first step tonight. As indicated, I'm going to lead off and then I'm going to turn it over to Tom Daly and Matt Sanford of Malone and McBroom. We're excited to have Malone on board with us. They're a very well-respected, well-regarded firm that provides environmental services like this throughout the state of Connecticut. I want to just briefly touch on some of the key points with respect to this application. We are seeking certain wetland and zoning approvals, as I indicated, that will facilitate the construction of 304 multi-unit development apartments on approximately 14.05 acres of town property that cited the former Sealy School. This wetlands permit would be the first step in the land use approval process. Donmar Residential proposes to conduct these improvements within the regulated upland review area. The application would allow for improvements on approximately 0.2 acres in the upland review area. I think it is significant to point out that there will be no alteration of existing wetlands on site and therefore no need to create, restore, or enhance existing wetlands. These improvements have and are deemed necessary and appropriate to allow the applicant, Donmar Residential, the ability to commence site work. It's a critical first step. In sum, the applicant is seeking to take a dormant parcel currently owned by the town and to begin the transformation process to create an active residential community that will generate much needed housing and tax revenue for the Groton community. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Tom, who will walk you through the environmental components of the application. Tom?
So can everybody see the existing conditions plan on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So for the record, this is Tom Daly with Mylona Broom. I'm a civil engineer. We have served on this property, both the surveyor, the civil engineer, and then you'll hear from Matt Sanford, the environmental consultant. Well, many of you know Sealy School, but this is an existing conditions map of Sealy School. On this particular map, north is pointing to the left. So on the right-hand side of this map is Route 95. We have Walker Hill Road, which is located along the western boundary, and we also have, but in the central location of the site. So this site is approximately 13.7 acres. I would estimate approximately 1/3 of the site is currently occupied by the school, its parking lots and some athletic fields. And then the remaining 2/3 is wooded, and that's really moving. So the most western portion of the site, the 1/3 is where the school is. And then the most eastern part is the wetlands that we're talking about. And to give you a little orientation, is the school is located on the highest portion of the site. It's about elevation 173. And then if you move all the way down into the south east corner where the wetlands are, it gets down to about elevation 112. So you're really seeing almost about a 60 foot grade difference, but over 13.7 acres, that's not so bad. Majority of the topography at the top of the site is relatively flat. Then the middle section is kind of moderate, and actually then it starts to steepen up right towards the wetland edge. Matt Sanford will speak more to it, but as you can see, the most, as I said, the most eastern portion of the site is the wetlands of the subject application this evening. Here is a rendered site plan of the application or the proposal that's before you. So as Attorney Herbst indicated, it's for a multi-unit apartment complex, and we're currently at 304 units and 358 parking spaces. We have designed the project to basically have, I guess it would be called, 3 wings of the building, and they work kind of independently but also together. We've also had the parking lot where we have kind of broken up the mass of the parking lot. So really we have 3 parking lots. We have one on the northern end, we have one flanking our western boundary, and then we have kind of tucked this back parking lot around the building. And actually I would have to say the majority of the parking lot is adjacent to Route 95. As part of this application, we have a lot of amenities. As you can see, there's a very large courtyard with pools and patios and barbecue areas. That'll be really a wonderful space for the residents located in the center part of the site. As we move towards the wetlands, we do have 2 really the activities that we're talking about this evening. Let me zoom in here so the commission can really get the spirit of what we're talking about. Is we have a playscape and a dog park. It's really a small dog park, just allows people to go out there and walk their animals. That'll be located just off the parking lot. The gray line that you see here is basically a wood chip walking path. We think it's an opportunity for the residents to get out and stretch their legs and do a nice walk around around the stormwater pond and up through the woods. What you see in blue here is the stormwater basin. This basin has, obviously the site has some impervious on it, but we have increased that with maximizing and getting the best use out of the site. So we've designed a stormwater basin here. This basin will be designed for the 2 through the 100-year storm events, so there's no increase in runoff. But it's also designed for water quality. So we have the DEP water quality, that first flush volume will be retained in the basin. What you do see on the here is we've highlighted in the wetlands in yellow, and then in orange is the limits of your upland review area. So as Tim indicated, as an overall site, we have a very minimal amount of work in the upland review. The basin actually we located just outside the upland review, but this walking trail would be through there. The walking trail itself is not intended to result in some any large tree clearing. We want to kind of work through the forest. We may have to remove some understory, but in the end, it's really supposed to be more of a nature path, not a a really cleared out space. And what you do see off in the map, and I'll show you another map after that, is the level spreader, which is the discharge from the stormwater basin. That is the closest activity to the wetland. Let me just zoom in here. Here's a more of a black and white picture, so it shows up maybe a little more crisp, and we'll come back to this thing. But working with Matt, we've come up with a very detailed planting plan, which Matt will go through in terms of in part of his presentation. But what I would like to do is show you the utility plan. So as I indicated here, we're bringing all our stormwater down into a stormwater basin here. We've designed the basin one at the top of the hill. We'll have a water quality unit. We put it right off the parking lot, so it's easy to clean. We want that vacuum truck to really have good access to it. So at the top of the hill, we have a water quality chamber, a swirl concentrator, as some people have described. We come down. The first portion of the basin is called a sediment basin, so that allows any sands. It's always easier to maintain a basin to concentrate those sediments as opposed to trying to clean out the whole basin. So in addition, so we have a riprap filter berm. Any water will come down here, filter through there, and ultimately have a discharge coming down through here. And what we're proposing here is what we call as a level spreader. So different from your traditional discharge, which is just a pipe heading towards the wetlands, we have designed a level spreader, which is somewhat, I guess we could call it a bathtub. The water comes out, it fills this level spreader, and then it just cascades on a linear basis down through the woods. So you don't have that concentrated flow. It really allows that linear flow of water to get down to the wetland and really take the velocity out of it. And we've also, part of our application, we have, as I said, we'll come back to that. We have developed a landscape, a detailed erosion control plan. We have a phase one, which is really, we want to do is get that basin in early to allow for it to act as a sediment trap during construction. Obviously, there's a fairly large effort in the first part to demolish the building and rip up the extra existing pavement. But the intent is to kind of get that really end of the line erosion control in place first, and then we go into the full project but the nice thing about that phased approach is everything is in place before you start doing any type of significant earth moving. With that, I'm gonna pivot this over to Matt. And I think Matt, you said you were looking for the grading plan, but I can pivot back and forth if you like.
Thank you, Tom. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, great. So Tom just went through proposed conditions. I'm going to take a step back. Just for the record, it's Matt Sanford, professional wetland scientist, registered soil scientist with Mylonic brome. So I'm going to take a step back and talk about the wetlands and the existing conditions again. The wetlands on this particular site were flagged by myself in May of this past year. The wetlands themselves are considered what we call a palustrine forested wetland. That means it's a tree dominated wetland. The specific tree in this particular wetland is red maple, is the dominant tree. The understory is fairly dense in this wetland. If you were to walk down there, you're going to see high bush blueberry, sweet pepper bush, and spice bush being the dominant plants within this understory of the wetland. Skunk cabbage covers the herbaceous layer. The wetland itself is fed hydrologically by 3 sources. The first one is obviously overland runoff from the nearby uplands and adjacent uplands from stormwater. Secondly, at the toe of the slope here, we have groundwater breakout. So groundwater breaks out, feeds the wetland. And lastly, we have Tom, if you want to point out, there's a outfall or a culvert up in the northern corner of the wetland. We have discharge that comes from the neighboring property that discharges through a 36-inch pipe into our wetland, forming an intermittent water course as shown on the plan that traverses from north to south through the wetland. The wetland ultimately, an intermittent water course discharge under I-95. Functions and values for this particular wetland. Again, it's relatively small in size, and it's sandwiched between a highway and some industrial and commercial properties. It does provide nutrient retention, certainly, from the stormwater that gets into it, sediment retention, as well as wildlife habitat. To talk a little bit about the regulated activities as it relates to the wetlands, Tom has talked about a few of those activities that are going to occur within the upland review area. Again, one of them being a wood trail. And as Tom alluded to, we're not looking to do any significant clearing of trees. It's clearing of underbrush, which primarily consists of catbrier through this area. The catbrier is extremely dense in this understory. And so that would be one of the major areas that we would end up clearing some of that vegetation in order to allow the trail to go through. And then secondly, the level spreader. The level spreader, as Tom talked about, is to create and allow sheet flow to cascade over the level spreader and to allow or to keep erosion from occurring when we do have a discharge event from that particular spreader. The spreader is about 30 feet from the wetland edge. We wanted to maintain a dense riparian buffer along the wetland, and so we actually we tried to pull that level spreader as far up the slope as we could, but we did have some topographic issues. As you start to move further up, it gets a little steeper, and so we want to still maintain and keep that level spreader in a level area to prevent erosion. Overall, we have about 9,400 square feet of activity within the upland review area. We think that's a minor impact to the upland review area. In terms of the wetlands, we don't believe we have any adverse impacts to the wetlands. We've maintained a significant buffer along the wetlands. We don't have any direct wetland impacts, as was stated by Tim and Tom. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit about the stormwater basin. Tom alluded to, we have a detailed planting plan. So one of the things that we do when we look at stormwater basins, we want to understand the long-term hydrology of that basin. Is it going to be a dry basin long-term, or is it going to intercept groundwater over the long term? And so what we've developed, and based on the test pits and talking with our stormwater engineers, we believe that this particular basin will have some persistent saturation, meaning that the soils that are within the underlying, the bottom portion of the basin will be wet. And therefore, what we've developed as part of the plan is twofold. We are going to put a seed mix in the bottom, which is the New England erosion control for moist sites and detention basins. But we're going one step further. We're actually going to be putting herbaceous plugs in here too, wetland plugs. And so that helps jumpstart a nice vegetative cover within the bottom of the basin for filtering out any nutrients that might be entering the basin. And then the other thing that we like to do on our basins, besides just putting a seed mix along the slopes of the basin, in this case, we're using New England wildlife and conservation mix. We also like to put supplemental plantings, native plantings. In this case, we provided a series of different hydrologic regime tolerances. So obviously in the upper part of the basin where it's going to be extremely dry, we've called out for sweet fern, which is a very dry shrub. As we move down to the mid slope, we've called out for gray stem dogwood. And then as we get lower in the basin where it could be wetter and we start to get that saturated soil, we've called out for red osier dogwood. And so those are the stormwater measures or plantings that we've included to help renovate the water and also increase some of the diversity of vegetation that's on the site. And I think with that, I'm going to turn it, I think that ends my part of the presentation. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Tim to wrap us up.
I have a question.
Oh, sure.
If you're walking on your path and it's raining and water is pouring out to the level spreader, how does the path get across the stream of water?
Well, we actually have that's a good question. But we did locate the level spreader below the path. So you will not be impacted by that water. So,
How does it get from here to there?
oh, I'm sorry, there's a pipe. Let me go back.
Oh,
It
oh.
didn't,
Wanna go to
I'm sorry,
utilities?
we didn't show the pipes on the landscaping plan. I see so
Yeah,
there
okay.
you go.
Yeah.
So there's, yeah, it would have magically got from here to there. That's a good, yeah, now I get you. So sorry, here is the drainage plan that does show the pipe that goes, and you
Okay.
can see right in here, the trail goes over it. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, gotcha.
thank you.
There it is. Yeah.
Back to your first present condition on the site, if you go back to that slide.
Sure.
That structure in the south corner there looks sort of like a heart. What is that?
This here?
No, it's on the other side. A little further down.
Yeah.
Is that a clearing in the trees? Is that what that is?
Yeah, it appears to be, this mapping was done by aerial mapping. So it potentially is a clearing. Maybe it's just a different color of trees. But I'd have to, do we see? No, unfortunately we can't see it because on the area, we'd have to check on the aerial. It might be just a different type of canopy. There, Matt, do you know anything about that one?
Yeah, that area there just has, there's less trees, more
Okay.
caprior. And you can see from the aerial, there's not much of a difference. It's just something when they were picking it up during the fall flight, there was just less trees present in that location.
Yeah,
But it isn't a field or anything like that. It
Yeah.
isn't a a completely different habitat type.
And what we did was this aerial is usually done in the off season when the leaves are down. So maybe when they were mapping it, the aerial company just thought it was an open field. But what I'm hearing from Matt is it just maybe is a canopy that's a little bit lower.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
I just had a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was just curious about, do you have a percentage of the amount of impervious surfaces on the site? And how does that compare to what was existing with the school?
I don't have that number offhand. I have a building coverage calculation. That's it, but that's just building alone. But
Okay,
I'll give you that, but I can also follow up with Deb and get you that number. But I don't have a comparison, but the code allows a 30% building coverage on it, but we're only at 14.4
well, for the building,
for the
yeah.
building. But
Yeah.
I can definitely follow up and get you those specific numbers on the impervious coverage comparison of existing. I believe it's actually embedded somewhere in my drainage calculations, but I don't have those offhand right now.
Okay, that'd be great, Tom.
Okay,
Thank
can
you.
do.
All right, what is the outflow rate out of your level spreader?
Well, it
From 100
depends. So I'd have to open up the drainage report. Let me just see. Okay, can you see the drainage report on the screen? So can everybody see on the screen the chart? Okay. So under primary, as you saw this site, I mean, the vast majority of the project all drains to into one location, which is the eastern western wetland area. So under the 2-year storm, we only have about a little over 3 CFS cubic feet per second coming out of that level spreader. And then as you can see how we march up, and then on the 100-year storm, it's getting to be about 24 and a half cubic feet per second coming off the level spreader.
So you're basically mimicking what is the current condition?
That's correct. We're showing no increase in runoff. There is some smaller analysis points, like down on Sealy School Drive. Those are tiny, but in terms of what you're talking, this first analysis point, yes, but we are matching. Now, I still think those flows are probably pretty small compared to what's coming out of that 36-inch pipe from the offsite location. But those are those flows that are coming out of the levels better.
All right, any other questions? I think maybe we need a site walk on this one.
Yep.
What day of the week is good for everybody?
Not next Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday are good for me. Thursday,
Yeah.
Thursday
Oh,
afternoon.
and most afternoons are good for me, better than morning.
Us Wednesday.
That's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Eunice?
Next Wednesday, not good, but how about next Thursday?
Thursday's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Yep.
the- is that the fifth?
What time do you like?
Whatever works for you guys.
Thursday afternoon sometime, 3 o'clock?
Fine,
Get it over and get Deb home at a good time?
before it gets dark.
I was just going to say, keep in mind, we're going to be going it'll probably be dark by 5:30 or so, but I think we'll be done by then. So is there a path of sorts that these guys can follow down into the wetland, or are they going to be going through briars?
There are some deer runs through here. I don't think there's a specific deer run that goes directly down into the wetland. I will say the area is going to be difficult to traverse only because the cat briar, even though the leaves are off right now, are going to be
Yeah.
falling off. It's
Oh, they're
going to be
terrible.
tough. It's a rough go getting down into the wetland.
Anthony, did you, when we did some test pits recently, did you cut a path down through there a little
So,
bit?
so we had a mini excavator. So we made a little bit of a path down there that will make it easy
Yeah.
to get at least to where we took those 3 pits. And correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, there was one on each side and one in the center.
Yeah, so just for the commission's knowledge, we got a little mini excavator down just to do some test pits down into the basin. So you clearly can at least get into the basin area. And Matt, I don't know, does it clear out a little bit after you get to this area towards the wetland, or is it still tough?
It's tough. There's some down trees. There's cat briar. I mean, this time of year, it might look a little better with the leaves coming off, and you might be able to find easier paths down there. But I could just say in May, it was a rough go getting down there.
Well, my experience is I would suggest the commission wear some clothes that are very durable
Yes.
or willing to be ripped, because the briars out there are nasty. I kind of worked my way into here, but on this summer's day, it was tough. But at least I think you should be able to, and that where that mini cut down, you should at least you should get down into the basin area, and maybe with the leaves off, so you can look off into the wetlands and be somewhat successful. But good luck.
Are the wetlands flagged?
The
Yes.
Blue and
wetland,
pink flag. There's blue and pink flagging.
yeah, good, okay. So you all will get notice of this site walk as well, and if you want to
Yeah.
join, you're welcome to do that.
Dave, just before we do that, I'm looking at my calendar. I can't do Thursday afternoon. Is Tuesday afternoon any good for people?
Eunice can't do Tuesday.
Oh, I thought it was Wednesday she couldn't do.
Tuesday is the election. I don't think Any of us want to be, we're all going to be waiting in line, right?
Tuesday's
Yeah.
fine with me. What did you say, Eunice?
Well, Tuesday is election day.
That's true. That's true. That's not a great day to do it. Well,
What about Monday? Monday afternoon?
What day's Monday?
that's the second, the day before, election day.
You can do Monday the 2nd in the afternoon.
Can you do that?
You know? You think 3 o'clock's too late, Deb? You want to do 2:30?
Let's do 2:30. Does that work for everyone?
Yeah, so that's Monday then.
Monday, 2:30.
Okay,
November 2nd, 2:30.
okay.
Okay. All right, so we will meet at Sealy School Drive and just meet in the parking lot there.
Okay,
The gate is locked, Deb, so you'll have to get the lock code from Anthony.
Okay, that's fine. Plenty of time to do that.
I'll either give you the code. I'm 100% certain that I'm going to
Okay.
be there. I'm going to meet you.
Okay,
So
there
I
you
can walk with you.
That's fine.
But if anything happens, I'll just shoot you an email with the code.
That sounds great.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
So what did we say for a time? 2:30 on Monday, the 5th?
Yeah.
Monday.
Monday, the 2nd?
Yep.
mm-hmm.
Hello, anybody there?
Yes.
Monday at 2:30?
Yes.
Yes,
We can do it. All right.
Just about.
All right, we'll send out notices to everybody.
All right.
We want to thank the commission for their time this evening. And we look forward to your approval after your site walk.
All right. Well, after the site walk, we'll classify it and then we'll move to the next stage.
Exactly.
Thank you, everybody.
Great.
All
thanks.
right.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
So Dave, I think we skipped over public communications. There's still a couple of folks who are attendees. Do you want to see if
there
anyone
were.
is interested in speaking?
I thought they'd show up. That's why I didn't.
No, they have to raise their hand. So I'm looking at the list of attendees to see if anyone is going to raise their hand, and I am not seeing any. Okay, just wanted to be sure.
All right. That's why I assumed there weren't any because of,
Yep.
I didn't see it. All right. We have pending applications. 0 High Street.
Right, that one,
You're not-
we are still waiting for revisions.
Okay. And Groton Long Point Road, where the trees were going to be removed, remember from the last meeting?
Yep, if I have the plan, if anybody needs to see it. Yes, no,
I don't think so.
it's four trees, I think.
Yeah.
The,
We
They
went
will
out
be-
and looked at the trees.
right, they will be cut, felled uphill, the stumps will remain. 4 pine trees.
Yep.
And I think you all got a draft motion today.
Yep. I want to make a motion. Everybody's sleeping.
I don't have the motion, so, yeah.
Judith?
do I.
Hang on, I can put it up if you guys want.
Okay.
Let's see. She says she thinks she can. Is it here?
They want a motion about the motion.
Yeah, I know.
Hang on, I just wanna- Put it up and see. There it is. Okay.
Yeah, the
There we go.
conditions or whatever.
No conditions.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
There's your draft.
No, I don't have it.
All I see is Zoom join a meeting.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I am. Oh, hang on. Sorry. Let's try one more time. Share screen. Share. Anything?
There it is.
There it is.
It's on there.
There we go.
So make a motion to approve Inland Wetlands Agency 20-05, the Ralston lot tree removal at 798 Groton Long Point Road, for the removal of 4 trees in the upland review area. And there's no loss of wetland or water course associated with the application, and the applicant has provided a tree removal plan that will protect the wetland from erosion during the work. It's subject to the 4 standard conditions.
You have a second?
Second that.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? None? Okay.
All right
That
then.
was-
There we go.
Thank you.
There we go.
All right, we'll get you a letter, Donna.
Thank you so much. Okay,
Does Donna want to come on?
No, she's on.
I'm on. I'm just saying thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Hmm.
You're welcome. All right. You have any comments, Deb?
I don't have a report. With regards to Triton Square, we're scheduling a staff review. So that'll happen before your next meeting. And I think you're right. You can make a determination after you walk the site as to whether or not this is a major or a minor.
Right.
All right.
So happy.
Donna, you want to say something?
No, I'm just very, very happy. Thank you. We're glad to get started. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. I don't really have anything. I've been keeping close tabs on the house that's being built down on
Sandy Hollow.
Sandy Hollow.
Yep.
And they've been doing a good job. I've been in there a couple of times.
Yep.
But there hasn't been a lot of other activity that I've seen around. Any other big activity, Deb, that I'm not
Just
seeing?
the school on Fishtown.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. How about that? What was it? A pumping station by the park?
Oh, or the bathroom that they're going to
Yeah.
demolish.
It's demolished?
No, it's not yet. They haven't hired a contractor yet.
Okay, you're gonna wait till the water level's high again to demolish it.
No, they know better.
All right. That's about all I have. I guess we'll kind of call for a motion to adjourn. Eunice, a second?
Second it.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, abstentions, that's it, Deb.
All right, great. We will see you on Monday.
All right,
All right,
Bye, everybody.
bye-bye.
bye.